Grand Haven, is that correct? All right, so you are running for school board in Grand Haven, is that correct?
Yes.
All right, and running with the Ottawa Impact, right?
Yeah. Three of us, Ottawa Impact candidates, and the three incumbents are Progressive Lakeshore. Yours.
Okay. I just have a website pulled up here, and there's a couple. I've been talking a lot about the books that have been found in Grand Haven and stuff like that. There is this statement that I see here that children should not be made to feel like oppressors or oppressed based on skin color or ideology. Can you just explain a little bit more about what you mean by that?
That goes first to CRT or anti-racism teach. Um, to be clear, the school always say they do not teach CRT, and it's a college level course, and so to be precise with it, they teach through the lens of CRT. The lessons will be taught through the mindset of that ideology, but you know, yes, it's a college level course, but you have you have the building blocks to it, just like you teach math and if you teach math. You don't start with trigonometry. You start with addition, subtraction, and all of that. So, in one simple little lesson that I've read about, I'm not saying it's happened to GHAPs yet, but one story is that the class will be divided, white kids on one side, minorities on the other, and one side's labeled oppressed, one side's labeled oppressor. And that's sort of a simple little building block towards that ideology. That was what I was sort of getting at, is these divisive teachings. We shouldn't be gearing kids towards that, because if you see kids on the playground, they will make friends very quickly based on just common interests and personalities, and they're just seeing things so innocently, and if you start adding these things into it, you're just robbing them of that innocence.
Okay. All right. I appreciate you clarifying that a little bit. Now, are you aware of the Grand Haven teacher that has pledged that they will be teaching CRT?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Okay. So there is at least some element of that in Grand Haven schools at this point. And what is your plan to get the CRT out of the school? Do you have steps that you're going to take to ensure that none of these ideologies are being practiced?
Yes. Well, to be more exact, we know for sure that anti-racism, or the anti-racist teachings, Ivermectin type anti-racism, we know that is being used in the schools through the Momentum Center and their anti-racism task force and stuff like that. So, for the first thing would be special interest groups. Get the school away from special interest groups one way or another, and however, outside groups can help supplement things, but it has to be neutral, politically neutral in every way, and it has to prove that ahead of time before anything's implemented. Ideally, one of my things I'm big on parental rights, parental consent, and one of my things would be that before anything like any supplement to the curriculum or even any curriculum is adopted, I would love to have groups of parents review it and make a recommendation to the board and say, here's what we think of this as a community, as parents, and this is what we feel about this, and have that input to the board before the board decides to adopt anything or to partner with any organization or anything in that way, so that parents have a say, parents are aware of it, and there's, if there's any conflict one way or another, it comes out long before it gets implemented or adopted.
Okay. That seems very transparent and straightforward toward the parents. So, yeah, that sounds great. Now, I'm glad you brought up the parental involvement. So I don't know if you're aware of Walter Davis. Do you know who that is?
Yes, I've heard of him.
Yes. Okay. So he's making some claims on his Substack. He's been writing a little bit about you guys, and he says that. Yeah. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, he's written enough about me that, according to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, he must want to date me by now.
Yeah, he's a little obsessed, right?
Yeah.
So he did say that give me just 1 second to find it here. He says that you claimed that you worked with librarians and curriculum director to select books for the libraries. And then he says the fact of the matter is that there was no greater impediment to the functioning of our libraries than Roger, who treated us to rants at almost every school board meeting, claiming falsely that libraries were littered with porn. I won't read the whole quote for you, but can you explain just a little bit about how you were working with the librarians and the curriculum director? That was Mary Jane Evink, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So can you explain just that relationship from your point of view?
I brought myself and a few others brought some books that were geared to every age level that we thought would be good additions to the library. So, one of the examples, the Tuttle Twins selection, 12 books.
Yes.
They simplify big topics into little children's books, and like my daughter read them, and we talked about the great pencil or magical pencil. I can't remember the name of it, but the way a pencil's made, basically. And it became like this big subject where we were talking about it, and she had a chalkboard, and we went over all the add extra costs and all the different steps, and it just made it fun for her. So I did books like that, and for different age groups to go into to kind of suggest to the librarians and to the curriculum director to add to their collection, to maybe get some books in there that weren't in there, that would have different perspectives on things.
Okay, so you've been trying to introduce new material to the librarians and the curriculum director.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, he kind of characterizes you as somebody that would go to school board meetings and yelling at the school board and stuff like that. Is there any merit to any of that?
No, it's I get a kick out of it because I'm probably the softest spoken person there. Unfortunately, I'm too soft spoken to the point that even with the microphone, people in the back sometimes can't understand what I'm saying because it's too quiet. So it's odd that that would be the characterization. But there's one time that I went past the time limit, and that happened once, and he wasn't even there that day, interestingly enough. But the point I was making was, since they're using anti-racism teaching, through the Momentum Center and the Anti-Racism Task Force, and reading books like Eat Your Mexicans, How to Be an Anti-Racist and stuff, there was an article that had come out that week of someone named Tima Okun, I believe is her name. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, but her teachings, another anti-racism teaching, was used from this hospital administrator who had a meeting but delayed it and said that punctuality was a form of white supremacy. And she referred to this anti-racism teaching of Tima Okun. So I looked Tima Okun up. I took her anti-racism teachings, and I brought it to the board, and I said, you know, I reject your 3-minute time limit. That's a form of white supremacy. So I brought Irreversible Damage by Abigail Schreier to read in a school. I brought water. I was prepared to read all night if they let me. But just to, kind of half jokingly make a point. And at the end of the time, they gavelled me, and Carl Trutler, said my time was up, and I said, so you don't. And at one point we were going back and forth, and I asked him, but you don't agree with that this is a form of white supremacy, or you don't agree with this anti-racism people? And he said, no, I don't. And I just said, thank you, we agree. Now please, that means you need to cut ties with the Momentum Center and your anti-racism task force. Quit teaching this stuff to our children because you yourself do not believe in it. So if they don't believe, I was just illustrating a point with absurdity, basically, that you don't agree with the teachings, please don't teach it to our children. And if you do believe in them, let's, walk the walk too. So that was the one time that I caused any kind of disruption, and I think instead of going the 3-minute time limit, I think I was up there for 5 minutes. It was 2 extra minutes of disruption, and beyond that, I've been, like I said, so quiet that half the time people are telling me to speak up because they can't hear me.
Yes, when you got on the phone, I was wondering what the heck he was talking about, because, yeah, I mean, you seem like a very soft-spoken guy, not really excitable. So, yeah, it's interesting that he characterized you that way. Of course, I've seen a number of things with him where he's not exactly interested in what the truth is. Now, just one more question for you about just going back to the Michigan revised school code. So you quote section 380.1, and Walter Davis makes a claim that there is a legal definition within that Michigan revised school code for the term partners, and he says that parents have no right in the curriculum nor in the selection of text and library books. Are you aware of any part of that code that would contradict that, or do you know what he's talking about there?
No, I'm not. I don't. I would like to see. I'd like for him. I'd like to hear his expanded explanation for that, because I'm not gonna. That doesn't. If it says, the code says it's a partnership between the parent and the school. What? So how does that mean that the parent has no right? That those two contradict each other, just based off of those excerpts from it.
Yeah, and I'm not really sure. I plan on giving him a chance to explain himself a little bit more, but I'm not sure he will be willing to talk to me. So we may never get that explanation, but I really appreciate you talking to me and kind of clarifying some of these things. I've spoken with Tommy Van Hill and Thomas Hoekstra, and you guys all seem like great candidates for school board. I don't have any more questions for you. I think that was the most I had. Mostly I wanted to talk about, whether or not you were up there ranting and screaming at the school board. But do you have anything else that you wanted to tell anybody in Ottawa County that may hear this show that maybe isn't familiar with you or your platform?
Well, I'll just touch on, I've heard through door knocking and stuff that people have heard the term book banners going around, and I want to clarify that nobody is talking about banning books, but I always equate it to television shows animated television shows like South Park, where you have a TV mature rating at the top before the show starts, so a parent can decide for a 12-year-old, 15-year-old, 8-year-old, whatever, for themselves is should my child watch this, and they can give the consent. The same thing I believe should be happening in school libraries, and none of us are talking about public libraries, Barnes and Nobles, places like that, because again, the parents right there with them, and if a child goes down the wrong aisleway or aisle, they can steer them to the other direction, before they start seeing things that are age inappropriate. So we just want ratings and put them in front of the appropriate age ranges and have parental consent. If people really believe some of these books save lives or help them with counselors, then have them with the counselor, and parents can give consent prior to their child being able to see this material, and the counselor could use it then, or put books that are rated certain levels in places where only children whose parents have given that consent ahead of time can see them. So it's all about what that parent wants for their kid, not what other people want for your child, or what you might want for someone else's child. We're not trying to make that decision for every parent, because every parent's different. So no one's talking about banning books. We just want to properly rate them, put them in front of the correct ages, and give parents the ability to say yes or no ahead of time. Same with the curriculum, like I was saying. That way there's no surprises when the child comes home and says, I saw this, or I checked this book out, or we learned this today. There's no surprises. So the parents have all of that. They can prepare for whatever discussion might need to be had.
Okay, that sounds totally reasonable. All right, so Roger, thank you so much for talking to me again. I really appreciate it. Actually, I have to run. I have a class that I have to